Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Thursday evening, July 25th, 2019. Just had to look at the front page of the news outlets, and there were several stories of death and murder. And I want to talk about those stories. And when I'm done talking, I'm going to open up the phone lines. If you're a coincidence theorist out there and you think everything that I'm about to present is a coincidence, I'd love for you to call in. The phone number is in the title of the video, but let me switch the screen here and get to the presentation. Let me make sure we're on the screen. Looks like we are. Okie dokie. So one of CNN's top headlines tonight: body of girl missing for 34 years found at pipeline site. On CNN's front page, they also have a story of a dead 33-year-old, the son of a boxer. We're going to talk about the parallels between these two stories, as well as this. Here's another story up right now on CNN's page. 2 missing Canadians are now suspects in the deaths of 3 people. They're having a manhunt for these 2. Don't those photos look like they're from the 21st century? It's funny how whenever they put out these suspects for people to look for in this age of HD cameras, they give us these photos that look like they're from I don't know, 80s? These photos look like, yeah, they're probably from the 1980s. Especially the guy on our right's hairstyle. I mean, come on. And then we're going to go back and we're going to look at the Chris Watts case. I wrote a letter to the warden in the prison in Wisconsin today saying, well, I'd like to come interview Chris Watts. Found out you have to write a letter and see if they give you permission. So we'll see how that goes, but we're going to go back and look at the Chris Watts thing too. I'm going to show you how all of these stories perfectly tie together through the same repetitive code that I've been exposing for 6 years and that I've even written a book about. And meanwhile, almost no one in the truth community seems to want to help spread this knowledge. All these channels out here with hundreds of thousands of subscribers that just spread crap to their viewers every single day. They don't want to share this knowledge. So anyway, body of girl missing for 34 years found at pipeline site. We're going to start right here. This is today's headline. Murder equals 34. And what's considered the most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, as written about by Manly P. Hall decades ago in the book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. Other authors like Faith Giovanni have shared this cipher. Countless numerology books share this cipher. Just taking the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. So M is the 13th letter with the alphabetic order. The numerology of 13 is 1 plus 3 is 4. So M is 4. U, the 21st letter. The numerology of 21 is 2 plus 1 is 3. R, the 18th letter. 1 plus 8 is 9. So on. Murder equals 34. Now, notice they say she was found at a pipeline site. And pipeline site happens to sum to 139, just using the alphabetic order. The other cipher shared by Manly P. Hall, Faith Giovanni, other authors. Freemasonry is also 139. Again, Freemasonry works by this code every single day. Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah. This code comes from Kabbalah. And notice the relationship with 139 and 34. It's mathematical. 139 is the 34th prime number. Find these numbers paired together often. So 34 years later, the body found at a pipeline site. Okay. Now, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, and when you run the alphabetic order in reverse with the rules of numerology, murder sums to 83 and 38. Colorado with the alphabetic order is 83, and Colorado with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology is 38. Colorado is also the 38th state in order of statehood. And, you know, just to go off on a little tangent here about the Chris Watts story. Chris Watts was charged with murder August 16th and pleaded guilty to those charges, or confessed November 6th, the span of 83 days later. And this was a Colorado murder. Again, murder's 83. The song Murder by Numbers came out in 83. The name Watts is 83. This is the Chris Watts murder killing. Again, Colorado's 83. they also put out this doorbell footage. Video is believed to show the last images of Shannon Watts. And with regards to doorbell footage, notice doorbell, Colorado, perfect overlap in all 4 of our base ciphers: the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, the reverse alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. And for you Colorado people, you guys have the first homosexual governor, at least openly. Homosexuals 133 and 43 as well. Plus there's a whole lot more to that guy. But anyway, just going over all of our numbers here. Again, that song Murder by Numbers by the band The Police came out in 1983. Just real quick, Murder by Numbers movie poster. If you never looked at this before, I've shown it countless times, but let's look at it one more time. Look at the movie poster. Is it clear? Well, let me see if I can make it bigger here. That's not what I want to do. Let me get a bigger image of this, just for people who are watching on their phones. Maybe I can zoom it in here. If I could stop clicking the wrong buttons. Let's try this again. Is it possible to just zoom in? There we go. You see how the letters in Murder by Numbers, only 2 letters are changed to numbers. The E is changed to a 3 and the B is changed to an 8. You know, what are the odds of that? Murder sums to 38 and 83, and they just happen to change the E to a 3 and the B to an 8. They just happen to release the song Murder by Numbers in the year 83, which is about how killing people is as simple as ABC 1, 2, 3. And then, I mean, if you are new here, you should know that for 6 years, we got a caller right now. I'm going to take the call. I did say to save the calls until the end, but you just never know. It could be a coincidence there. Caller?
Baba Booey, how is this?
Oh, yeah. It's a moron. Okay. So anyway, Murder by Numbers. So let's just go over all of this. The woman who was telling us about this story coming out of Greeley, Colorado. Oh, hold on. We got another caller. Caller?
Yo, what's up?
Doing the live stream. What's going on, man?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Sadie.
It's what?
Sadie, you may know me as Atomic Knowledge.
I can't hear what you're saying. You got to speak up.
I said you may know me as Atomic Knowledge.
Oh, okay. I know who this is. What's up, man?
Not much. What's going on?
I'm just doing the live stream.
What do you guys got cooking? What's the rock cooking up over there?
Well, I'm doing the presentation right now. I know you're not a coincidence theorist, so what's up?
What do you mean a coincidence theorist?
Do you know that I'm doing a live stream right now?
Yeah, of course.
All right, man. I'm going to do the presentation. You can call me back later. But I do know who you are. You reached out to me a long time ago because your friend played for the Oregon Ducks, and he was thrown off the bridge by the police. So.
No. Tell me about this coincidence theory thing. I want to hear more about this.
A coincidence theorist is a fucking retard who thinks what I show every single day is a fucking coincidence. That's what a coincidence theorist is.
Oh, you know that I do the same.
I know. That's why you're not supposed to call in. This isn't for you to call in right now. So I want to hear from the morons. But hey, I know you're probably high right now because that's your thing, but you are the man who had his friend thrown off the bridge who played for the Oregon Ducks, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and he was another example of Murder by Numbers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You got a good memory too. That's kind of like, that's what the thing, like they think we forget about little shit from day to day. And like, I have one of those, like I don't forget shit. Like, you know what I mean? Especially big moments. So, you know, it all adds up. So no, it's not, I mean, I used to think they were all coincidences. That's why my, you know, life used to seem weird because I was like, how's, you know, so once you get out of that mindset, then everything becomes more clear.
Right. What's the name of your friend who got thrown off the bridge so people can look up that story?
Aaron Jelks.
Aaron Jelks.
J-A Jelks. Jelks. Aaron Jelks.
Right. And he played for the Oregon Ducks. And the story is that supposedly he fell off a bridge and the police saw him and he was still alive. And then they just go ahead.
Yeah. He was drunk. He left the club or wherever he was going, and he was driving on the freeway towards, I guess, northern Sacramento. And then he was passing downtown, and then you pass the American River, and there's a bridge right there, and it's right above, like, the bridge runs over, like, the old Amtrak station. So he crashed into the center of the freeway, and then they said that he tried to jump from one side. Some witnesses said that they saw him try to jump from one side of the freeway to the other side, and then he fell down there, and then the sheriffs came and they towed his car away, and they didn't even look for him or anything like that. And then, like, the people had called in and said that he had fell down there, and they didn't look for him until the next day.
Right. And then the police had to go to court, and the judge determined that the police didn't have any responsibility to do anything for this guy. And it seemed like they actually were aware that he was down there because he was calling out for help. They just let him die down there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and what's strange about it is that, like, the people that, like, my friends, like, he used to hang out with the people that lived, like, 2 houses down from me. I mean, I knew him from when I was a kid. Like, I looked up to him. He was, like, the big man around the neighborhood. Of course, he's like a giant and shit. And so it was, like, the people from around the neighborhood, they, like, you know, when you made that video, like, it didn't really have, like, a big response that I thought it was going to get. Like, they kind of just overlooked it. Nobody wanted to comment on it. They was, you know what I mean? It was just weird. Nobody wanted to say anything. Like, you know, it just got a couple of likes, and everybody just kind of, like, forgot about it. Like, no biggie. So it was like, it was just weird. I thought I had made, like, a breakthrough, and then, like, about, like, 2-3 days later, your channel got canceled. I remember that too.
Yeah, that is true.
And it wasn't a coincidence, but that was when things got real for me. I think that's around the time when I started to make my channel or something like that. I think I made a channel, like, right after that.
Yeah.
Because that's when it got real. I was like, oh man, that's when I realized I didn't like they shut down the truth. So I was like, wow, this man is, you know, just presenting all this information. It's all by the numbers, and then they cut the channel off. But that's what made me realize it was true, because, like I said, you can put a video on YouTube, like, saying anything. That's one of the points I'm trying to make, like, with the freedom of speech, like these movies with these rapes and the kidnapping and all that type of stuff. But if I just be like, oh, this guy's a faggot, you know what I mean? They can take the channel off the air. I mean, they can, you know what I mean? All I have to do is say something like that, like, oh, he's a faggot, and then, like, they can delete the video. You know what I'm saying? Take the channel down, but then, like, you can make all these movies depicting all this stuff. So it's just a strange world we live in.
It is, man. So the point you're making, I actually somebody told me to watch this Adam Sandler movie on Netflix about faking your death. I had to turn it off, man. It was just too gross. I don't even know what the name of the Do-Over, I think, is what it's called. If anybody has Netflix and you've seen this movie, you'll see why I turned off the movie. But yeah, like, why isn't Adam Sandler getting called out for that movie? That movie's just all kinds of wrong. But yeah, I know exactly the point you're making. So
yeah, so I don't think any retards are gonna call your channel and want to speak to you about what you're talking about.
Well, we'll see if they do. So, all right, man. I'm gonna keep it moving with
one more thing before I go, though. So this is what I want to talk to you about. So, all right, tell me, do you think this is a coincidence? Did you watch the channel? I mean, did you watch the video I sent you about the Black Panthers movie?
I haven't watched that. No. When did you send me that?
All right, the other day. Do you think that that it's a coincidence that in the Black Panthers movie that the king's that the guy's name, the head guy, his name is T'Challa, and that basically just means teach Allah?
I'm gonna have to look into it more. I didn't know about it.
I mean, it's right there in front of you. It's T'Challa, and then Killmonger is basically, to me, decoded as kill mo niggers. So you got the Black Panthers movie, you got Teach Allah and Kill Mo Niggers as the main characters of the movie. So, I mean, that's not by coincidence. I mean, if you think it's by coincidence, then you're possibly could, be retarded.
You could be a coincidence theorist. Well, what is it? What's this Black Panther movie?
The Marvel one. The Marvel Black Panthers movie.
Okay. I haven't seen that yet either.
Yeah, the guy's name is T'Challa. It doesn't have any vowels in it in between the T and the CH, so people just like overlook it, and it's just like the guy's name is T'Challa. You know what I mean? It's like languages don't even need vowels; they're silent. You know what I mean? So it's pretty crazy.
Okay, I'll have to take a look at it. All right, man.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Peace out.
Okay, so just go back over this again. In the headlines tonight, one of many stories related to death, and we're going to see how they all connect. Body of missing girl found 34 years later. Murder 34. She was found at a pipeline site, which sums to 139 like Freemasonry. Again, that's who works by this code. 139 is the 34th prime. Freemasonry is a death cult. Notice murder equals 83 and 38. This story is out of Colorado. Colorado's 83 and 38. Again, Colorado is the 38th state. A state that a lot of stories of death come out of, possibly more than any other state. This story's from Greeley, Colorado. Notice Greeley, Colorado, 79. The name of the victim is Jonelle Matthews, which is 79. And in the 4-base ciphers, notice how murder sums to 79, 34, 83, 38. So we have all of our numbers covered in this story. Caller?
Yeah, do you think Howard Stern has a big penis?
The Howard Stern pranksters. Yeah, remember what gang Howard Stern's from. So anyway, notice Greeley, Colorado also sums to 74. Killing, Masonic, Occult, Gematria, English. All 74. Look up the song, Gematria, the killing name. Look at the name of the officer who they have telling this story on TV. Rebecca Rise. Notice how these Masons and these Masonic agents, they like the double initials, the same first and last initial, RR. Rise rhymes with lies. But Rebecca Rise, 74, like Greeley Police. And again, like Greeley, Colorado. Funny how these numbers are always found around these stories. The story is she disappeared December 20th, 1984. Right about the time of the winter solstice. Now these rituals go down with the solstice. Look at what year it was, 1984. We'll get to that. And they're sure to mention that she would have been 47 years old today. Here I am, the guy who's been educating about what is 47. Just pay attention to how often this number is needlessly inserted into news stories. Is it important that she would be 47 today? Is that an important detail? Jonelle went missing on December 20th, 1984. She would be 47 today had she survived. Okay, this happened in Weld County, which equals 47. How many degrees on the Masonic compass? 47. Policeman equals 47. Cop 47. Authority 47. Government 47. Weld County also sums to 43, like Masonic, like killing, like Colorado. The girl's name, Jonelle Matthews, sums to 223. Another number associated with Masonry. Masonic is 223. That's the 48th prime number. Freemason equals 48 in Hebrew and in English. The reflection of 48 is 84. Masonry is also 84, like the year this happened. The day she disappeared was a date with 116 numerology. Her name, Jonelle, equals 116. You know? So that's one story in the headlines tonight, full of all the same numbers we always see around these suspicious stories of murder and death and killing. Next story, Danika McGuigan, dead at 33. And they say she died after a short illness, but then they also say she died from cancer. So it's like, well, which one is it? Did she die from a short illness or did she die from cancer? And remember, people who die from arsenic poisoning, arsenic equals 33. Arsenic's the 33rd element on the periodic table. When they die, it appears that they've died from severe illness, and it happens quick. People typically die in 48 to 72 hours after they're poisoned with arsenic, depending on how much, sometimes sooner. She died Tuesday, July 23rd. Her father was the champion in 85. How many years ago was that? Was that 34 years ago, 1985? 34 years ago. Now look at this. Danika McGuigan, 83. That's what her name equals, like murder. She was 33. When you write out 33, it sums to 141 like McGuigan. Of course, masonry, secrecy, order, federal, police, they all sum to 33. The day she died, July 23rd, 2019, a date with a life lesson number of 42. The name McGuigan's also 42, as is Freemason. Remember, July 23rd, 23/7, several suspicious deaths on that date in history. Michael Jordan's father's full name equals 237, dead on 23/7. Amy Winehouse, dead by the numbers. Again, it's because that date has Masonic numbers. Masonry, the death cult. Operating government, media, police, entertainment, running the show. Now get a load of this. Look how old her father is right now. He's 58. He's 58, and get a load of his name. Barry McGuigan, 139, Freemasonry, 139 and 58. Again, 139, the 34th prime. He was boxing champion 34 years ago. Just like how that girl was found at a pipeline site, 139. And she went missing 34 years ago. At least that's how they reported in the headline. So, again, both of these stories in the headlines right now. Here's another good one. Manhunt all throughout Canada. Give out these bogus stories so they can do their manhunts, show off the new militarized police worldwide. These photos are a joke. They say both of these teenagers are 6'4", and they're both 169 pounds. They have the exact same description, exact same height and weight. 6'4", 169. And as we know, kill equals 64. But look at this. This news came July 23rd, 2019. Canada is 24. Remember, we just saw the Toronto Raptors win the championship for Canada in their 24th season by the numbers. We the North equals 136. They won it June 13th. 13/6. And then there was a record amount of Canadians drafted in the NBA draft right after that, showing just how rigged and scripted it all is. That these players are Manchurians born and bred to be. And all of this is being done by the same Masonic network. But one of the suspects, they put out his name. Bogus looking name, Briar Schmegaleshki. Look at the name, 237, like the date of the news, 23/7. McLeod is 6 feet 4 inches tall, 169 pounds, and has dark hair, facial hair, and brown eyes. Schmegalski, or however you say his name, is 6 feet 4 inches tall and 169 pounds. They're both cousins with Adam Lanza, too. Anyway, the date of the murders that they're responsible for, July 15th. What was it about July 15th, 2019? Well, it was a date with a life lesson number of 34, like murder's 34. See how this works? The name Briar is 67 and 31, like killer. These 6'4" teens, just look at the overlap with teen and kill. 44, 17, 64. The two teens are both 64 or 6'4", excuse me. Let's come back to the names of the victims here. So one of the victims is China Noelle Deese. Doesn't that look like a real name? China, Chynna. And notice how, you know, it's supposedly killings in Canada, and both the suspects are foreigners, so no one knows who they are. China Noelle Deese, I'm sure that's a common name over there in Australia. Or I guess she was the American, and Lucas Robertson Fowler, the Australian. So let's just look at these names. Let's look at what's in these names. Notice how China and Deese, her last name, China 9725, Deese 9725, Death 9725, Deese 38 and 20, Death 38 and 20 as well. So Deese and Death are perfect in all four ciphers. Don't forget murder, killing, RIP, they're all 38 as well. And then the other guy's Lucas Fowler. Look at Fowler and murder. Perfect overlap in 3 of the 4 ciphers. Lucas is also 79 and 34 like murder. You know, what are the odds? What are the odds that both the victims' names sync up with death and murder? So here, let's just do my name real quick. Some people think like, oh, I hear people make the argument time. You can probably type in anything, get any numbers you want, which is totally false. Okay, so there's Zachary, no overlap with murder. There's Hubbard, no overlap with murder. My middle name's Keefe, no overlap with murder. So 0 for 3. But I mean, again, long before I understood this code of letters and numbers, I just looked at news and said, how don't people see through this bogus crap they feed us every single day? Every single time they give you a manhunt story, they give you pictures that look like this or worse. And there's no cameras left on the planet that take pictures this bad. You can't find a camera that would ever give you a photo like this. Not to mention CNN about 2 months back did a story of how all of these images that they were showing in their article were all computer generated. And they all looked a lot more clear and realistic than this. So again, this is just a mockery of everybody's existence. And again, we were talking about the Colorado murder. And just a reminder, Chris Watts was charged with murder August 16th. Admitted to being responsible November 6th, a span of 83 days later. This was a Colorado murder. Murder's 83, Watts equals 83, the name of the killer in the family. Colorado 83. The name Chris Watts has overlap with killer. They came out later and said they had the doorbell footage. Look at doorbell in Colorado. Perfect overlap in all 4 ciphers. And also a story I meant to cover recently. A lot of people were asking me about this the other week. A woman was found dead in the trunk of her car. No one down in Louisiana. She was found dead July 12th, 19, a date with 38 numerology. Louisiana's 38, death's 38, murder's 38, killing's 38. And, you know, again, not an accident. Not an accident. This is the code. This is why there's a movie poster, Murder by Numbers, with the 3 and the 8 substitute in for the letters. That's why there's the song Murder by Numbers that came out in '83. So let's just look at these lyrics again. Let's take a peek at the lyrics to Murder by Numbers. Let's just read them out. Think about it. Murder by Numbers by the police. The police. Think about all the unsolved murder mysteries. Think about all the police reports saying nothing suspicious about a dead 20-something-year-old. You know, looks like they died from natural causes while sleeping at age 22. Because don't you know that happens all the time, according to the police. Murder by Numbers, the police. Once that you've decided on a killing, first you make a stone of your heart. And if you find that your hands are still willing, then you can turn a murder into art. There really isn't any need for bloodshed. You just do it with a little more finesse. If you can slip a tablet into someone's coffee, then it avoids an awful lot of mess. It's Murder by Numbers 1, 2, 3. It's as easy to learn as your ABCs. Doesn't that make perfect sense when you know what they're actually talking about? Now, if you take a taste for this experience, if you're flushed with your very first success, then you must try a twosome or a threesome. You'll find your conscience bothers you much less. So the more you kill, the easier it gets. Because murder is like anything you take to. It's a habit-forming need for more and more. You can bump off every member of your family and anybody else you find aboard. Keep in mind Sting, his parents died at young ages. Back when his music career was really getting going. If you don't know, Sting is the front man for the Police. He's had a successful solo career. You know, man, he's even got new songs coming out now with Shaggy. Wasn't it him and Shaggy at the Super Bowl last year getting to perform? 2 years ago, I'm losing track of time. Because it's murder by numbers, 1, 2, 3, it's as easy to learn as your ABCs. Now you can join the ranks of the illustrious in history's great dark hall of fame. All our greatest killers were industrious, at least the ones we all know by name. But you can reach the top of your profession if you become the leader of the land, for murder is the sport of the elected, and you don't need to lift a finger of your hand. Hold on, we could have a coincidence theorist. Caller?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm calling to go live on your channel, man.
So what's going on?
Not too much. I just wanted to basically say thank you for your knowledge and all that good stuff, and kind of topic on what's been going on in the skies lately.
The chemical spray? What else?
What's up?
You mean the chemical spray?
That and what it actually entails, because it's just not chemtrails. It's actually something a lot more deeper than what people are calling it to be.
What is it?
Well, basically right now what's happening is a meshing of two worlds. And I've noticed for the last year that I'm recording the skies, everything's changing. And since we're on a stationary plane, these planets like the moon and the sun and all that good stuff, they've been orbiting us, right? So we're getting closer and closer to that Planet X, Nibiru star system that they've been talking about all this time. And on the news, they're in our language, right? It's called spelling, because when you're actually talking our language, our English language, they're able to summon certain energies and entities based on the words they say. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you say hi, you're gonna say hello. Hello is that you're already automatically like pledging allegiance to like basically hell, right? Or whatever you want to call it. But every word in our English language means something to us, but to these other entities, it's a whole different get down with how they talk to each other. So the information we're getting means totally something different to them using our same language. Does that register?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're all over the place right now, but your thought about hello is interesting. So we're on a flat plane, but there's planets like Nibiru coming towards our flat plane?
Yeah. Basically, I've been recording the skies for a good while now, and I've been noticing even tonight, the sun didn't settle on the eastern plane where it usually does. It was on exactly the opposite end of the sky tonight.
The sun set in the west?
Yeah, it's settled in the west tonight. And you're on the same coast. I'm in California. It's never even been light at this late at night as of recent. Like usually by 8:30 p.m., the whole sky would go dark.
Well, maybe you move further north this year.
What moved to further north?
The further north you go, the lighter it stays.
Okay, I mean, honestly, I don't even know. I'm not even going to fake the funk and act like I know everything about directions and stuff, but I do pay attention to what's going on in the skies. And you'll see these dark clouds, right? And there are all sorts of them. Like today, it was almost amazing. It was majestic how the sky looked. There was like a pinkish purple. And for those, you ever seen that story, My Pet Goat?
Yeah.
On YouTube, you know that little animation, My Pet Goat?
I've seen it, man.
Okay, so at the end when the Antichrist is going towards the sun, okay, which we can call the portal because that's basically what this is. It's all about portals. You'll see that the sky is like a pinkish purple, and those same colors are meshing together. That's exactly what's going on in the skies right now. And if you pay attention to the news stories, there's just a bunch of catastrophes going on because
if there's fires near where you are, it tends to bring out those colors in the sky.
No, there's no fires whatsoever. There's none of that going on here. I'm in California, and I haven't heard of a fire since last year in November, when basically the whole state of California was on fire over that energy weapon, because I don't believe it was naturally done.
Well, that's again, Paradise, California, and Los Angeles, California, both burned on November 8th, 118, and both Paradise, California, and Los Angeles, California equal 118 in this code, and Los Angeles is also on the 118th meridian. All right, man, I appreciate the call and thoughts. It's interesting, but I'm going to get back on the topic that I'm presenting on, so have a good night, man.
All right, Zach.
All right, take care.
I would think.
But, okay, look. I don't want to fight over the shape of the earth, but he reminds me of kind of like what I think about the flat earth community, because it's like they don't know the basics. They don't know that in the summertime that the further north you go, the lighter it stays at night, which is like the way this earth works 101. So, and in the wintertime, it gets darker. It's why Alaska has 24-hour light for a period of the summer, and it's also why they have a period of 24-hour darkness in the winter. That's why some people watching they're like, "How is it so light where Zach is?" Well, it's because I live up in Washington State. We're pretty far north, so the sun hasn't set here, but each day is getting a little bit shorter. In case you didn't know that. After the summer solstice, each day gets a little bit shorter up until the winter solstice. And then after the winter solstice, each day gets a little bit longer up until the summer solstice. Anyway, back to the presentation. This Murder by Numbers song, I mean, it really spells it out. And what's funny is I was doing this research and showing all these examples of people dying by the number 38 and 83 for a long time before I even realized this song existed. And before anyone even pointed out to me the movie poster too, and I said, "Oh my God, look at it! It's just right there in front of our face." Okay, so I think I covered everything I wanted to call. We had a few trolls call in. We had a flat earther call in. We had the Aaron Jelks friend call in, and I haven't looked at that work for a while. But look up this Aaron Jelks story about how these police officers just let this man die. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if they threw him to his death. He died on August 22nd. Death is 38 with the alphabetic order. When you multiply the alphabetic order times 6 was a cipher. Death's 228, like the day he died on. Caller?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Right now?
Yeah, you got to mute the video in the background, but you're on.
Oh, okay. Is it too early to do a football game? Well, some work that I did.
Well, that's not exactly what I'm on here right now doing this live stream for.
Oh, okay. It's cool. Then I'll just wait.
All right, man. Yeah, there'll be a better time. All right,
you have a good one.
All right, take care. So this player, speaking of 38, this player played college football at Oregon, and he died right before their college football program really took off. Notice Oregon's 38 and 25. Look how old this Aaron Jelks was. Again, the man who called in earlier, he tipped me off to this story because he knew this person. Aaron Jelks was 25 when he died, the former Oregon player, and died on a very suspicious date. Notice Oregon 38. Death's 38, the cipher where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6. Death's 228. He died on 22/8, August 22nd. And they reported that he was dead near this Jaboom Street, which equals 42. This number stamped all over Black history. Don't forget about the 3 recent Black celebrity deaths on Jackie Robinson's birthday. You know, Jackie, who wore the number 42. And it looks like I forgot to put it up here, but even Jackie equals 42. And His name, Aaron Jelks, 34, like murder. By the way, dying at 25, not only does it connect to Oregon, it does also connect to death. We just had the recent story of the Seinfeld actor who disappeared in Los Angeles and was found dead in the Oregon woods. And Oregon's got those death numbers in its name. And go back and look at everything else. It's been a while since I researched this, but again and again, all throughout history, the same numbers. And for the people who say, how do you figure this out? Honestly, it all started once upon a time when I just started documenting suspicious deaths. Tupac date of death. Here, just go over some familiar numbers. Notice what day Tupac died. September 13th, 13/9, like 139. What do you think Tupac Shakur equals? The alphabetic order. And this is where I started with, was just with the alphabetic order. Tupac Shakur, 139. And the date he died, September 13th, 1996, 9131996, add it digit for digit. 9 plus 1 plus 3 is 13. So you get 13 with the day and the month. And then the year, 1996, 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 6, that's 25 more. 13 plus 25 is 38. Dead on a date with 38 numerology. So once upon a time, I didn't know what anything meant. I was just taking notes. I was just recording things down and looking for patterns and what it might mean. I was like, okay, let's look at the day Notorious B.I.G. died. Let's see. He died March 9th, 1997. And added up. 3 plus 9 plus 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 7, it's 38. And I started to notice from there were a lot of celebrity deaths in history on dates with 38 numerology. Very common pattern. And we've documented it about 1,000 times since. And that's where I first realized, I said, when you write out the word death just with the alphabetic order, it sums to 38. And when you write out killing with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, it's 38. And when I first started, I didn't know reverse alphabetic. You know, I learned that later. But then when I saw murder equaled 83 and 38, I said, doesn't that make too much sense? These numbers always show up around death. And the other thing I noticed once upon a time is rapper equals 38 as well. Rapper's 38 and 34, a lot like murder. But again, it's all been documentation over the years. I've been doing this since 2013, just looking at incidents, jotting down the numbers, and seeing how consistently the same numbers come up again and 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 again. And to think it's a coincidence, you just got to be a moron. And realize that tool out there, Marty Leeds, who's saying there's nothing scientific about my work. Well, he doesn't know anything about the scientific theory. Let's go over the scientific theory real quick. Let's go over the scientific. Or excuse me, not the scientific theory. I'm too tired right now. I cannot think. Why can I not think? The process. You know, you come up with a theory. You test the theory. I cannot think right now. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. You come up with the theory. You test it. You prove it. And then you know you found something. So that's exactly all we've ever done here. And we have thousands and thousands of examples to, support how these numbers are used ritualistically. So I guess there was no coincidence theorist to call in tonight, but just proves my point. Seems that the only people who want to take a stab at this work are trolls and cowards who can hide behind the keyboard and, leave posts, but wouldn't dare get into a conversation because they know they'd be destroyed. And that's also why that Marty Leeds tool refuses to debate me. Go listen to Marty Leeds in his own words and listen to how dumb he sounds. He goes, Zach's work's not scientific. My work's scientific. And here's his exact quote. Because Jesus Christ and English language equal the same thing. It's like, wow, really? That's your argument? because Jesus Christ and English equal the same thing. This bizarre cipher that you use is the only relevant cipher. And think about just how dumb of an argument that is in light of the fact that using the alphabetic order, Jesus equals 74, cross equals 74, Messiah equals 74, gospel equals 74, parables equals 74, English equals 74. He thinks because in his cipher, Jesus and English have one overlap and that's it, that his cipher is proven. I mean, how does that even make sense? Gematria is 74. The practice is Jewish 74. It's Masonic 74. It's occult 74. I mean, please. Caller? Caller?
Hey, Jack. I wanted to know if you did an investigation about Officer Tara O'Sullivan that was killed on 6/19/19 in Sacramento on the 200 block of Redwood Street.
I already see what's going on there. 6/19/19 is the date they died?
Yeah. And
all right.
her,
so let's just start here. That was the date last month where I told people to circle because I said you'll see plenty of suspicious deaths on that date because it's the date with 44 and 64 numerology. So dead June 19th, 19, 44 and 64 date. And they were an officer?
She was hit and then left for 45 minutes during a standoff where she was hit in the armpit.
Tell me how to spell her name again.
Officer Tara O'Sullivan.
Got it.
T-A-R-A.
I got it. Okay, so this happened in Sacramento.
And, the phrase that they used was she gave her young life in quotes.
She was 26.
I was just wondering if she wasn't leaning the right way towards the brotherhood.
Well, it's possible. It's possible. We've seen a lot of these ritualistic deaths of officers. You know, in the...
She was 26.
She was 26. I see that.
And she was supposed to be going through a program for officers, and I can't remember exactly what the name of it was, over at the Sac State University.
Okay.
But when I looked up her information, it said she was a student in Solano County, not Sacramento.
Okay, well, I will look at this a little bit more, but what I was going to say is for over a year, I've put out a date a month in advance. I just say, watch, you'll see the suspicious deaths on this date. I'll always name the 4464 date, just like how I put out June 19th, 2019 on May 20th, 2019, which was the 4464 date for May. But if you go back over the years that I've just been documenting this, on a lot of those dates, there's been a story of a police officer killed in the news on those days. And it's often a national news headline. Was this national news or just local news in Sacramento?
I saw a CBS story on YouTube, but I don't watch TV, so I don't know if it's on regular TV. I don't watch the television.
Sure.
It was another thing I was going to ask you. I subscribed as a Patreon, and I wanted to download your book. But
okay, here.
Is there a place?
I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna show you how to download it for anyone on Patreon. For people who want to get the book, I'm gonna post it right here on the top of the Patreon page. So it'll be the top post on Patreon. It's gonna be labeled book download. Anyone who's on Patreon right now, who signed up at the $5 tier or more, you can get the whole book. And here, I just need to attach it here. So you'll just go and download, and you'll want to download the cover art and the complete book. So you'll get the cover art and the book. And
on the Patreon homepage?
Yeah, I've almost posted it. It's about to be the top post.
Okay.
So
okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Hey, keep up the good work, Jack.
You're welcome. So if you go to Patreon right now, there it's the top post. Book download. You got it.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, you're welcome.
Thanks a lot.
All right, bye.
Bye.
So here's what stands out about this officer too, besides being killed on the 44-64 date, where kills 44 and 64. And just for people who are going, how's it a 44-64 date? June 19th, 2019. 6 plus 19 is 25, plus 20 is 45, plus 19 64. And 6 plus 19 plus 19, the shortened way, is 44. Every single month, that date numerology rolls around, which is once a month, you see these suspicious deaths. So her name, what stands out, her name's 165 like Scottish Rite, 48 like Freemason. That's not so interesting, but this is. You see the O'Sullivan 118, death 118, homicide 118, using the Jewish Gematria. Again, that's the number we called Prince's death by before it happened. After Vanity died, we said, just watch. Prince will be next, and it's going to be soon. And what do you know? He died by the exact numbers I talked about the night I put out the death of Vanity. Vanity died the night of the 58th Grammys, Freemasonry 58, Purple Rain 58. Vanity was Prince's girlfriend from the time of Purple Rain. Her cause of death had 118 coded into it. Prince Rogers Nelson equals 118. I said, just watch. 67, 118 when Prince dies. Prince ended up dying 67 days from Vanity in an elevator. You see how death's 118? Homicides 118? Look at elevator. If I can spell it right. Elevator 118. Elevator is also 46 like sacrifice, like how Genesis 46 begins with sacrifice. So anyway, this woman who got killed, she had the 118 in her name. Domestic disturbance. What's that equal? She was responding to a domestic disturbance. Sometimes I wonder if they set up these officers, like they call in some bogus thing and they don't realize they're walking into their planned death. Domestic disturbance is 78 like Scottish Rite 2. Redwood Avenue. Let's see if there's anything there with that. Redwood Avenue 64. Just like how she was killed on the 64 day, it's 199, the 46th prime, like sacrifices 46. Execution is also 44 and 46. What else is there about this? Redwood Avenue. 62, that's another sacrifice code. Sacrifice 4662. Hold on. You notice how execution's 116? Earlier tonight I talked about how that girl died on the date with 116 numerology and how her name was 116. I forgot that execution was 116. There's always more. But okay, so the date was right, her surname was right, the location was right. At 6:10 p.m., what is that? That's 1810 military time, like 181, 181, the 42nd prime. Freemason 42, female 42, lady 42, bitch 42. She was standing in the yard while assisting a woman to retrieve belongings from a home when a male subject inside opened fire with a rifle, striking Officer O'Sullivan. She died at the hospital later. Caller?
Hey, Zach.
What's up?
Oh, not much. Just caught your show a little late. I was listening. I did see a little blurb of the Chris Watts thing. Were you covering that case a little earlier? Cool. Yeah. I was watching that like a few months ago, and I'm not sure what you covered, but what was the extent of what, if you could do a brief summary of what you covered on that?
Sure. So where I started tonight was with the death. CNN's got this story up. Let's see if it's still one of their top stories. Yeah, they do. They got this body of girl missing for 34 years found at pipeline site in Colorado. And I was talking about how the numbers encoded in this story are like numbers that we see all the time, which are also the numbers encoded in the Chris Watts story. And they're both Colorado related and they're both murder related. And again, what I was saying about Chris Watts is that from the day that he was charged for murder to the date that he confessed to the murder was a span of 83 days. Murder's 83, Watts is 83, Colorado's 83. And then, you know, a big part of the story was the doorbell footage and how doorbells got the 83 in it. It's got perfect overlap with Colorado and all 4 ciphers. And I went through a whole bunch of other stories too and just showed how all these recent murder stories all encode the same repetitive numbers. Also, the update about the doorbell story, which I didn't mention earlier, from the date of the supposed murder, which was August 13th, to the date of the doorbell footage was on 191 days, which is the 43rd crime, and doorbells 43, so it was Colorado, so it was killing. The name of the town that the young girl died in, the story I was just talking about, she died in a town with 43 Gematria as well. So I'm just showing the parallels in all of these stories in recent times and in over the years.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, that's jeez, yeah, I was pretty interested in the investigation of the whole Watts thing and the actual footage of the cop when he confronts Chris on the day, like that morning, is kind of intense because the cop goes to his neighbor's house, and I'm not sure how much of the extent that you've seen or if you just read the articles or what, but the cop actually goes to his neighbor's house, and his neighbor has surveillance, and they're actually watching the surveillance footage with Chris, and he's like literally just melting in front of the cop, and his body language is all over the place. And what's actually pretty trippy is during the like the body cam footage on the TV, they show like there's like a skull emerging out of oil, kind of like what's going through. You know, eventually they find the wife and kids in an oil vat or whatever, and I don't know. That's kind of eerie and foreshadowing, I guess. But
sure, I didn't know about all that. I'll have to look that up. That's good information.
Yeah, check that out. I think they still have that up on YouTube. But cool, man. Hopefully, you know, I'm a regular caller, and I've been watching your videos and listening to the calls. Some are good, some are kind of weird, and Tool's coming up right around the corner next month.
The album release.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that.
Keep an eye on that.
All right, man. Right. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Take care. So here's another good one. Notice how somebody just called in and asked if we could look at the death of this officer. She died on the date that I told people to circle a month in advance. I said that'll be a date with suspicious murders. Look at her title, Officer O'Sullivan, 187, the California homicide code where she was killed. I was just showing how O'Sullivan equals 118, like death and homicide. 187, the homicide code. Officer O'Sullivan, murder. The story we began with tonight was about the little girl murdered in the town that had the, you know, the gematria of murder. Her name equaled 79. The town equaled 79. That's my point. Again and again, it's the same numbers. And look at a Fraternal Order of Police. You see the 119, like 911 in reverse? Here, I'm going to get rid of the ordinals and just look at the reduction ciphers. The reduction ciphers have rules of numerology. The 11th and 22nd letters can be worth 11 and 22 or 2 and 4. And the 19th letter can be worth 1 or 10. I'll show you something here in a second. Caller?
Yeah, hey, Zach.
Yeah?
Hey, I called in about a month ago talking about 9/11 subliminals in the bottom left-hand corner of CNN, and I sent you a video at your request about it. I was curious if you saw the same thing I saw.
Did you send it to Gematria Effect News?
Say it again?
Did you send it to gematriaeffectnews@gmail.com?
Yeah.
And what did you title the email? I didn't remember seeing that video.
Well, I'll just resend it right now because I don't remember the title.
Yeah, please do that for me because I do remember that, but it was just one of those things I didn't see show up.
Okay. I could be somehow, shadow banned. I don't know if they want this information to get out, but that's probably just paranoia, right?
Well, send it again. It could have gone to my spam filter, but as soon as I'm done with this, I'll go and look and make sure I find it.
Gematria Fake News at Gmail.
That's the one.
All right.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks for your call.
All right. Take care. So anyway, I mean, and for people like all the critics who say, oh, you probably just sit there and cherry pick and research all day until you put something here. No, man. I mean, it's like this stuff takes moments to see through when you know the code. Caller?
I was just calling to see if you covered Donald Trump being in front of the fake seal that said like 45 is a puppet.
I did. I covered that in a live stream today, but let's just do it again. Yeah, that fake seal had the double-headed eagle like the Scottish Rite symbol, and it had Masonic encoding all over it. Here, let me pull it up. For those of you guys who don't follow my blog, you should. I put up everything here. Here it is. So, again, here's the story. Here's the fake seal with the double-headed eagle. This is supposedly written in Spanish saying 45 is a puppet. And then instead of holding the arrows, they're holding golf clubs. And here, I'll show you everything. So they blame this on TPUSA, which stands for Turning Point USA. TPUSA sums to 77 and 58, like Freemasonry and Secret Society in the United States. Washington, D.C. on the 77th meridian, numbers we see all the time. Turning Point USA equals 218 and 88, just like Trump, 74 like Masonic, and 187 like ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. And again, it's the Scottish Rite that has the double-headed eagle in their symbol. And USA Today emphasized 45 as a puppet, the Spanish translation of the words, which equals 42 like Freemason. And yeah, so by the way, also puppet equals 68 like The Apprentice, like Donald John Trump, like golf with the golf clubs in there. So yeah, it's just more Masonic symbolism put in front of people's face. It's telling you the truth that Donald Trump is a puppet. He's a Masonic stooge. And
that's the crazy part about it is like they're blatantly just telling us like straight up front.
They're always blatantly telling everybody everything. I mean, how can people not see what's going on right now with the leader of the UK and Donald Trump and these two guys both from New York with the same fucking haircut? I mean, how can people not see through 9/11? 9/11 just put it all in front of everybody's face and nobody saw it. So it's like every day they just put it in front of people's face and they don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just calling to make sure you ran over that, man. That's it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All
right, take care, man. Well, we're not getting any calls from any coincidence theorists, unfortunately, but we are getting some calls from some people who get it. So, Turning Point USA, and I'm just thinking about that name. What kind of turning point are we at? Where are we about to go? You know, could we even take a turn for the worse? Could it get worse? Of course it could, but things are already pretty bad. If you guys have never seen the movie Network, you should watch that movie. It's from the 70s. In my opinion, it's the best movie ever made. But what's his name? Howard McBeal, The Rants of Howard McBeal. You guys should check that out. So. Anyway, I think we've covered enough. Just for kicks, I got to check out the full name of this officer before we go. Somebody asked to investigate this. We saw just what was going on, but maybe there's even more. Hold on. Whoops. What's their full name equal? 26695. These are huge Jesuit numbers. I just saw a 78 encoded a moment ago when we looked at that too. 78's a Jesuit and a Scottish Rite number. I'm going to do more work on this, but these numbers are huge with the Jesuits right here. IHS, the words stand for 266, just like how Pope Francis is currently the first publicly Jesuit Pope, and he's number 266. Jesuit orders birthdays the day leaving 95 days left in the year. See the 148 in her name as well? If I'm not tripping, fraternal equals 148, like Fraternal Order of Police. Fraternal is 148. It's also 95. And I was just showing how she had encoded in her name Fraternal Order of Police. Jesuits and the Scottish Rite. That is who runs the show primarily. There are other secret societies. There are factions. But it's not hard to see that here in the USA, it's the Scottish Rite and the Jesuits that have the biggest piece of the pie. So, caller?
Yeah. I just wanted to, I didn't really do the numbers on it or anything, but there was a State Farm commercial before the NBA playoffs started with James Harden and Chris Paul sitting on the couch watching the Portland Trailblazers game. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so weird. What if that means that they'll get really far in the playoffs this year before the playoffs even started? And they went to the Western Conference Finals. So I was just wondering, like, do commercials, I'm guessing, have it?
Of course they do.
You know?
And just so you know, Steph Curry's brother was on the Portland Trailblazers. This was the 73rd NBA season, and Curry brothers equals 73. Steph Curry's born on the 73rd day of the year. It was a giant ritual. And then they played each other on Mother's Day. You know, what a sweet Mother's Day for Sonia Curry to see her sons playing against each other. So it's all a joke. And of course, the Warriors advanced over the Rockets so that they could play the Blazers. Yeah. And that was also a sign. So this year I was telling people that I honestly thought before the season began that the Warriors would win the finals this year. But a lot of my people who follow me on Patreon, they're like, no, it's going to be the Rockets this year. And then when that commercial came out, I said, look at the commercial they're even putting in front of your face right now. The Rockets are watching another team play. That tells you right there.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, they're telling you that they're not even going to make it. Like,
you're right.
I mentioned that to my boyfriend, and he was like, oh, I don't know. And then when it happened, I was like, I freaking told you. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, well, that's because you have eyes to see.
And then there was that Men in Black, the new Men in Black commercial, and it had Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul in it, in one of them. And I was like, that's weird. Like, I wonder what that means. And then they switched teams. And I was like, I'm starting to slowly catch on and see some things. It's really funny.
Yeah, and I could say a lot more about it. There was a super duper ritual done with that Blazers and Warriors sweep series that just shows how perfectly scripted all the sports is. But yeah, you saw it. You were right on. Yeah, you were right on. All right, caller, I appreciate it. You have a good night.
Yep, thank you.
All right, take care.
You too.
All right. Caller?
Yeah, hi, Zach. I just had a question, not related to today's topic, but I was just wondering if you have any idea about the next financial collapse that people are talking about.
Sure. I think it is coming in the time of Trump. Again, he's the House of Cards president. Go back and watch my work from last year on October 10th, 2018, the third worst market performance day in history, how that day was foreshadowed in 1988, Trump 88. And we were watching that date, October 10th, 2018, before it happened. But there's a pattern throughout history with the Wall Street collapses and the numbers 36 and 63. Wall Street equals 36 and 63. And what I would do is I would look at the dates that have 36 and 63 numerology this coming fall and just keep those dates circled, because those are likely the days. If we are in the time, I won't be surprised if history repeats itself and it tanks again on a 36-63 date. So.
Okay. Well, that's it for me. Thanks a lot, huh?
All right. Yeah, you're welcome. Take care, man.
Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, see you. And again, the reason 36 and 63 matters is because Wall Street has those numbers. So Wall Street's 36-63. If you go through the dates in history, you're going to see how those numbers come out. Don't forget 2016's the 63rd triangular number. That means if you add 1 through 63 together, it equals 2016. Donald Trump became president-elect in 2016 on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. And check out Berlin Wall. Berlin Wall, 63. It's also 45, like how Chump's number 45. See how they did that? He was announced as president-elect November 9th, 2016. So, and he did that mattress ad talking to sheep for Serta in 2009. And he was talking to the sheep with the numbers 11 and 9. Serta talking to sheep. Here, let's just watch it one time, and then we'll call it a night. Donald Trump. Serta sheep. That's the one I want. Let's see. This is the one. Let's do it. Hold on. I got to start it over, and I've got the volume on here. Here we go.
So what do you think of my Trump home mattress collection by Serta? Finally, the same luxury and comfort I demand in my hotels.
Oh, they'll never count sheep again.
Listen, why don't you come work?
Think about it. They'll never count sheep again. Yeah, I know counting sheep has to do with sleeping, but what else could it have to do with, especially when Chump is wearing the same suit and tie he wore for election night? And just listen to the rest of this.
For me.
What do you have in mind?
Something you were born to do.
What do you think he was born to do? Remember, 3 of the last 4 presidents were all born in 1946, a couple of weeks apart from each other. That would be Clinton, Shrub II, which is George W., and Chump.
Welcome to room 9.
Looking good, number 9. Looking good.
Where's your dignity?
Sheep on pillars, 11 and 9. Donald equals 119, wearing the same suit and tie that he wore for election night. Looking good, number 9. What happens when you add 1 through 9 together? It equals 45. This commercial was filmed in 2009 for Serta. And look at Serta. What's 63 in numerology? 9. What's 18? 9. What's 72? 9. What's 36? 9. By the way, any word that breaks down to 9 in one of the 4 base ciphers, they'll all break down to 9. 9's a special number. But if you add 1 through 9 together, it equals 45. And then he's announced as the 45th president-elect 7 years later on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, 11/9. So, been talking about all this stuff since the night it happened. House of Cards. You know what the name of the president is in House of Cards? Francis. You see the 119, the 47? Underwood. That's his name, Francis Underwood. 11947. Of course, president is 47. Trump is 47. When you do the name Donald in Jewish Gematria, which is the most relevant cipher outside of these base ciphers, Donald's 119. Trump, House of Cards, cards, Trump, Trump card. House of Cards is terminology for a economy on the verge of collapse. And that's also something we've been talking about with regards to Trump. Tisha B'Av equals 134. House of Cards equals 134. Make America Great Again equals 134. And remember, Tisha B'Av's upcoming too. The market can't collapse on Tisha B'Av this year because it's on Saturday and Sunday, but it could collapse in close proximity. And honestly, I'm leaning on the big market fall being in the time of the fall, because that's when it traditionally has been in history. In the fall, the market falls. People do things esoterically and in your face. But don't forget, Tisha B'Av is to remember the destruction of the 2 temples and connected to the prophecy of the 3rd temple. And right now there's a coin on sale in Israel, Donald Trump shekel 3rd temple. You know, if you don't think this is real, look it up. You can buy one of these yourself. You can buy the Cyrus Trump temple coin, funds being raised to build the 3rd temple. So all of these things are in the works. Don't forget, Donald Trump was at the site of the Western Wall by the numbers where they planned to build the 3rd temple May 22nd, 2017, which is exactly 811 days before August 11th, 8/11. And May 22nd is the reflection of August 11th. May 22nd is the 142nd day of the year, leaving 223 days remaining. And August 11th is the 223rd day of the year. leaving 142 days remaining. So, and the other thing is don't forget that Israel's 71 years old right now either. Temple's 71, Talmud is 71, and Mossad's 71. Look up those dancing Israelis. Supposedly they did 71 days in jail. Oh my. Oh my. I'm going to leave it there, Truth Seeker. Coincidence theorists wouldn't dare. Until next time.